Hey everyone, it's Lynnis with the Wellness Woman Show. I'm so glad that you all are on with us today. It has been so much fun working with Racial Love and the new international network. Wonderful shows for women, all about women, produced by women, for women, things that are going to hopefully help you to grow and to feel even better in the skin that you're in. And today we're going to be talking just that in particular, how we can increase our self-love and our self-care by living holistically. I am so excited to have with us Versandra Jewel. You know, your name is blocked off. See, this is what happens if I can't see your name all the way. I blocked it off here. What's your last name, Versandra?
Brew.
Yes, okay, thank you. So glad to have you here on the Wellness Woman Show. And boy, do you have a fantastic background. Let me tell you a little bit about Cassandra. She has written 6 self-help books to encourage and inspire her readers to live life to the fullest and to reach their peak potential against all odds. She does energy healing. She's also a certified holistic health counselor. She works with master touch, having to do with massage and emotional healing. Really, truly a Renaissance woman when it comes to the field of wellness. And I'm so glad to have you here today, Versandra.
Yes, it's definitely my honor, Lynnis. I'm happy to be here as well.
Well, I got a chance to kind of read you a little bit about you and check you out. And you've got to share your backstory. Everybody has a backstory. What is your story? What led you to this field of wellness? Such an interesting field. And I find that most people, especially women who are led to the field of wellness, is because they too have their own wellness story. So what's your story? How did you come to do what you're doing now?
Well, actually, I was a district sales manager running 22 stores in 3 states, Maryland, D.C., Virginia, all up and down I-95, and it was crazy. I'd worked in retail since I was 14 years old, and my biggest dream in life was to be a multi-store supervisor. I wanted to be able to jump on planes and fly between stores and do all of those things that I considered was, hey, you've arrived, you're a professional woman. And I didn't see a lot of that when I was growing up because I was raised in a family where I was the first one to complete high school. And so it was not, I didn't have really good examples, but I saw a professional woman going to work every day and wearing a suit and catching flights and that type of thing. And I said, I want that to be me. Well, after I did it for 20 plus years, I got kind of burned out and it was just way too much stress. I worked 60 to 70 hours a week. And yeah, I had a company car, expense account, and all of the perks, but I didn't have any time to myself. And I found that my whole identity was wrapped around my job. And when I finally got to be 30-something, there comes a time when we get to where we're looking at our true purpose in life. What are we here for? Why am I even existing? And I read this book, The Purpose-Driven Life. And it helped me to look inside and just really discover who I was created to be and actually unveil some gifts and talents that I had not tapped into. And so I thought back about rubbing my grandmother's feet, her back, her knees, because she had all kinds of different illnesses and all kinds of pain in her body. And that gave me the most joy that I could even imagine. And so I decided to, follow the career of a massage therapist. Got into that in 1999, and then that took me into the whole world of holistic therapies. I became an energy healer. I studied nutrition at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and became certified there. And I just decided to wrap it all up and turn it into programs that would support other healing artists and holistic health professionals, because that's my target audience. Those are the people who I seem to work most and best with. My clients tend to be yoga practitioners, massage therapists, energy healers, and they come to me generally wanting to learn how to enhance their business. That's what they come to me first before. But then, because I have the health coach background, I tie it all in, because when you're looking at fulfillment, when you're looking at the primary and secondary foods that, you know, Institute for Integrated Nutrition talks about, then you have to get to the core of what might be a challenge that you're really experiencing. And so, yeah, while I was a massage therapist and starting my business, I ended up becoming homeless. And I lived in a shelter, and I started in a hotel, finally got to rock bottom. I lived in a shelter for women and children. I lost my mind, and then I got a new one. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty much the backdrop. But since then, my life couldn't be any greater. And I am just so happy for this opportunity to share my story.
That's, you know, that's an amazing a story, and wow, you've come such a long way. But we have very similar stories, because at the age of 51, 8 years ago, I decided that I wanted to walk away from corporate America. I was on the C-suite level, in charge of recruitment for about 7 or 8 different hospitals, and was, you know, had all of the trappings of success. And one day woke up and couldn't stop crying. And come to find out, I had developed an anxiety disorder. And it was through my taking that 1 year sabbatical from my job with the intention of returning that I realized I didn't want to do that anymore. And that's where PraiseWorks was born. And over time, Wellness Woman that was born. And Wellness Woman and PraiseWorks and all that is a conglomeration of the things that I've learned from a holistic perspective to help women over 40 to thrive in whatever it is that they're going through in the time, you know, wherever they're going through at that particular time. There's still ways to kind of push through that and to give them exposure to alternative methods of healing, alternative methods of living, holistic ways to kind of improve their life. So, and I know you have that kind of background, and that's why I was so excited to have you on, because I really truly believe that women, no matter what the age is, we have a tendency not to either take good care of ourselves or to cheat ourselves and do a little bit here, a little bit there, but we don't give ourselves the best. So knowing that, what kinds of things do you suggest that women could do to help increase their self-love and their self-care?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I actually wrote a book about it. I Love Me. It's the ultimate self-care guide for healing artists. And in that book, the first thing that we talk about is making sure that you have a regular self-care practice. And understanding that that self-care practice doesn't have to be long, drawn out, time consuming. It just has to be ongoing, and it has to be something that you can put bites and bits of it in throughout your day. And it's just not a one-time thing, you know. And so in the book, we give many, many different ways of including me time experiences. That's what I call them, me time experiences into your day, even if it's just 5 minutes of just taking slow, deep breaths in and out and releasing the cares of the world, and then bringing in all of the wonderful things that is what is life. I mean, because life is all about the breath. And in that breath, that's how we actually live. Without it, we would die. And so the breath is the beginning of it all. Then there's things like journaling and writing down your thoughts and getting them out of your head so that they're not constantly repeating over and over and over again. You got to release, empty out your brain and empty it out onto paper, if you will. Even recording. Some people don't use their phones for all of the things that they are good for, but the audio option on your phone, you can record your thoughts. If you're driving down the street and you're, find yourself frustrated, you can rant and rave at your phone, get it out of your mind, and then listen to it later and recap. What were your thoughts at that moment when you were enraged or when you were feeling kind of frustrated, so that you can go through the process of dealing with those things. But there's so many things I could talk about self-care and self-love all day long. We actually did a 30-city tour taking those self-care practices to multiple places and just introducing it to people who never even really thought about it. They just don't think that self-care should be a priority.
Well, let's take that a step further. You're talking about you've been to 30 different cities and how that has and how you were able to share all of that. What are some of the common abuses that you see women doing that requires for them to start maybe rerouting their thinking in terms of how they take care of themselves?
Well, the one thing is just believing that I'm a mom and that's my only job. You know, that's who I am. Well, if you're a mother, then you are a nurturer and you're giving, but you also have to receive. So before thinking about the jobs that you do, you should think of who you are internally as a human being. And so, yeah, putting yourself, oh, I'm a manager on, and you know, at this particular company, that's who I am. Where your identity cannot be wrapped around what you do for a living, because that's not who you are. So just really looking at who you truly are and not the jobs and roles that you play, that is one of the things that women can specifically do to support themselves on their journey to self-care, because we are not the things that we do. We are so much more. So
yes, we are.
Identification.
Yes,
that is very important.
That is so key, and you're right. We play so many different roles, and as I like to say a lot of times when I'm talking to women, we play so many roles in our lives that we kind of put the role of just being us on the back burner. And by the time we reach back to that burner to try to pull ourselves back, we can't. It's so far back, we don't even know where it is any longer. Right. We've kind of lost ourselves and lost our identity. How important is it for women to work on staying focused, work on being present in the moment in time? You hear a lot about that, be present, be present. What does that mean, and why is that important?
Well, you know, we get scattered in our thinking. And so when you have 10 things on your mind at one time, you really can't be in the present moment. So say, for instance, I'm thinking about preparing the meal for dinner tonight. I'm also thinking about going to the mailbox and picking up the mail. I also have to think about, is the house clean and the chores that I have to do around the house. I'm also thinking about the children and did they take that cell phone to school? Wait a minute, I just got a message from the school that says that they had something that they weren't supposed to have at school. So you got all of those things on your mind at one time. So how can you really give any type of true energy to all of the many myriad of things that you're thinking? So you have to just take that slow, deep breath. You have to come back to your center. You have to focus on just being, not doing, but
being. You're absolutely right. Now, to go into another part, because I really do believe that we need to address the mind, the body, and the spirit. So we're addressing the mind right there. Let's take a look at the body. What kinds of things from a self-care perspective can we do with the body? And I'm not necessarily talking about losing weight. That's not what I'm talking about. That's a whole nother show. But just in general, to honor our bodies, what kinds of things do you recommend that we can do that will increase the self-love of our bodies as they are right now?
Well, you know, massage therapy is at the top of my list because that was one of the things that helped me so much when I was going through my transition. So that's kind of why I became a massage therapist, because of the benefits I received personally. Now, we're talking about benefits from stress reduction. We're talking about improved circulation. We're talking about improved mobility. We're talking about having our skin and everything receiving blood flow and everything to it that causes it to do its function to its best ability. Our skin is the largest organ of our body. We hear it all the time, but what does that mean? What that means is that it protects the body from things that are trying to enter in it, and it releases things like toxins that have to go out. But if the skin is not being manipulated, if it's not being stimulated, then it does not function like it should. And the same thing with all of the other organs of the body. Massage therapy helps with all of those things. And when we can't get to a practitioner that can do the work for us, we have to engage in our own self-massage.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Because there'll be some who'll say, oh, I can't afford it. But, and you know, let me just say real quickly about anything that you cannot afford when it comes to your wellness. You can afford to go to Starbucks. You can afford to get those nails and put that weave in your head. Okay, you can afford to buy that $400 or $500 suit or those, that $700 handbag. Okay, so it's all about priorities. You either pay for it on the front end or you pay for it on the back end. Because you see on the front end, when you pay for it, that's preventative. So that on the back end, instead of, saying, oh, I should have paid that $700 for that Dooney bag, you won't be saying, oh, I should have not have to pay that $50,000 for that hospital stay that I had as a result of some chronic disease or ailment or something you got because you didn't take care of you on the front end. So that's what I say about not being able to afford it. But let's say we get that feedback. What kind of things can we do in our own case in self-massage, and what can we do to kind of, loosen our bodies and our minds with our own hands?
Well, the easiest thing is just taking your hands and placing them on your temple. You have your temple here and just doing circular motions right around your temple. Close your eyes, you really get the best results, but those circular motions, and then you can do the same thing if you bring your hands down right here into your chin area, and then right into your neck, just sweep. In here in your neck area, we have lymph nodes. And this is like really an area where waste and toxins are removed. So doing those sweeps of the neck are just so very important. Then rolling your shoulders around. That helps with the mobility. It loosens you up when you're real tight around that neck and shoulder area. And my favorite is reaching for the sky. I mean, when you get those arms up and just extend them up, that movement feels so good, but it also takes the tension off of your shoulder areas, which is where a lot of people hold tension and stress. So those are some simple movements that anyone can do.
And I love that you mentioned the thing about stretching to the sky in your arms. I'm a dancer, so I do believe I know the benefit of movement. I've been dancing since I was 4 years old, which is like, wow, since the beginning of time for some of you folks out there. But no matter how old I get, I can tell after a little while when I need to move in that way because my body is used to that kind of movement. Now, if you're a person that's never done anything like this before, let me first say that you always want to talk with your medical practitioner to make sure it's okay for you to begin working out and moving. And after he says, of course it's okay, then you kind of want to go into it gradually. And that's why I like the idea of self-massage and finding out some low impact things that you can do to get your body moving because we were not born as stick figures. We have joints. We're supposed to be moving these things. We're supposed to be doing things with our bodies and not just sitting like I am right now behind computers or behind watching the television or in a car, movie theater, all the sitting stuff that we do. It's extremely important from a self-care perspective that you move your body. Whatever it is you enjoy doing, move your body. Now let's take it to another step in terms of the body and talk a little bit about food from a self-care perspective. Now, of course, everybody knows that burger and fries is not the way to go. But what I'd like to try to tell people, what I'd like you to share with people are things that we can add to our nutritional regime that will maybe over time make us say, oh, you know what, I really don't need those burgers and fries in that shake. I'd rather have my green tea and cucumber slices. I know that sounds like a stretch, but what kinds of things? It's not a stretch for us, but some people are like, oh my God, there is nothing appetizing about that. Give me my fries.
You don't even want that stuff anymore once your body is cleaned out, all of the junk. When you get rid of the junk, you really want to invest in quality food and putting it inside of your body. I am a total advocate for making sure that if you can't get the 6 or 8 servings of fresh fruit and vegetable a day, juicing. It is the easiest way of getting those servings into your body, and it makes you feel so good and so rejuvenated and so energized to where the other stuff you can tell when you start to eat it, you get sluggish, you start to feel the vibration even gets lower. So yeah, definitely the food that we eat is so very important when we're talking me time. And even in my book, I Love Me, I've got some of my favorite recipes in the back of it because what I have discovered is that one reason why so many people choose to eat the junk is because they don't know how to prepare healthy meals. It's that simple. And nobody's gonna tell you, oh, I don't know how to cook. Well, the reality is many people have no clue about preparing healthy meals. So you have to show them how to quickly, effectively, and easily prepare simple meals that are so tasty that it makes your taste buds like jump and dance.
That's right. And you know what? A lot of those meals don't have the sugar in it and they don't have the salt in it. Enhancing your food with things like lime and lemon, your vegetables and stuff, you'd be surprised how great that tastes. And when it comes to the sweetener part, if you just have to have it, using a little bit of raw honey is wonderful. Using the very fruit of the sugar has a lot of sweetness in it already. Adding the blueberries and the guava, papaya, those things are sweet too for those who just have to have those cravings. And I find one thing that really helps me get ready for detoxing my body. In fact, for those of you who are practicing this time of the year, giving up something, for those who are Christians, it's Lent, but some people take this time of the year because it's spring, going into spring and detoxification, and they decide, well, what is it I'm going to get rid of? Or what is it that I'm going to add to basically clean up my life? What am I going to sacrifice? Well, one of the things that I start to do to begin to get into that mode is I get rid of all my sugar. And if some people are like, oh my God, I get rid of all my sugar, my pasta, lower my carbs. And one thing I'm adding today, as a matter of fact, because it's the only vice I have left, okay, is coffee. I'm getting rid of the coffee. I don't think coffee is bad, but it's something that I love, so I'm going to give it up, for Lent. But what I'm going to replace it with, while I'm giving these things up, I'm going to do my research. I've already done this before, but let's say I haven't done it before, and start finding out what things I can do that can replace that need for coffee. So, of course, green tea is one thing, but go to your health food store. You'd be surprised the kinds of things you can get that almost taste like coffee, but they're not. But another thing, though, that really helps if you're having problems making that change over is to, like she said, add healthy things, but take a look at the superfoods. I use chia seed to make sure I'm getting my protein because I don't eat meat. Chia seed is great. Flaxseed, that omega-3, we need that. It'll keep our hearts healthy, help rejuvenate our brains and things like that. Another one that I use is sesame seed. It has calcium in it. I put it on my toast or whatever. There's all kinds of superfoods that you can use. Almonds, slither, the omega-3 in that is fantastic. It has that great kind of oil that you need. What kind of seeds?
Hemp seeds.
Hemp seeds, that's right, hemp seeds. No, you won't necessarily get high with the hemp seeds for some of you folks.
Oh.
No, that's not what that is. I hear you. You're from the 70s if you're thinking that. No, but it is, but it is good for you. Thank you for mentioning that. Maca is another thing. There's so many. And if you don't know what to do, of course, you can always go to Google and Google it. But when you go to your health food store, they have people like me and Versandra that work for them that they're waiting for someone to ask them questions about, what superfood can I add? And most of these superfoods are going to be nuts, be careful about over processing. You can get protein powder, that's true, but protein powder has been processed. There's other ways to get that protein in your system besides always getting processed stuff. So use wisdom. And then, of course, you can talk to people like me and Versandra as well to help you with that piece. So we kind of did the body thing a little bit, did the mind thing. Let's talk about the spiritual thing, which to me is the root of all good and evil.
Yes, it is.
Because if you're not spiritually connected, if you're not doing the things to edify and re-energize your spirit, then it kind of goes downhill from there. So what kinds of things do you share with your clients in terms of things that they need to do to enhance their spiritual awareness?
Most definitely. Well, I am aware that people have different spiritual beliefs and practices. So I personally, I'm a metaphysician, but I'm a Christian metaphysician, and I've been doing this, for a very long time. So what I do is ask people what, maybe they were raised up as. If you were raised up as a Christian and your thing was reading the Bible, then that should be a part of your spiritual practice. You should get up every day and read your Bible because the words in it feed your spirit. If your thing, yes, if your thing is, say, another book, because there's other sacred books as well, whatever one moves you and speaks to your soul is the one that you should start your day with, and you should actually pull from it verses and even affirmations, things that you want to affirm for your life, for your surrounding, for your world that you live in.
That's
and
right.
Say those things, speak them as if they are already done, no matter what it looks like. Because see, television can make you believe that the world is going to hell in a handbasket.
Especially these days. It is unbelievable. In fact, it's one of my other parts that I'm giving up from Glenn. I'll ask my husband sometimes, what's going on? But in general, I'm not going to be watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, or any of that stuff right now because it's a hot mess. And I'm trying to detoxify my body and my spirit. So it's not that you don't want to be informed, but there comes a time when you can just overdose on stuff like that. And it does enter into your spirit.
Yes.
And if you're looking at making a change into self-care and self-love, you want to take a look at how much of that stuff are you taking in, all that negative news, or maybe social media is another thing that some people like get all frustrated. Oh my gosh, you got a brand new car and I'm still driving this car. Things like that. You want to really take a look at that and say, how important is that really when it comes to my overall wellness? There's nothing wrong with actually picking up the phone and calling a friend instead of, texting her or saying hi on social media. What a concept. What about girlfriend time? Increasing that and spending time with your girlfriends. There's been a study that was done that there is a hormone that is secreted when women get together. This hormone is secreted at no other time, and it's healthy for us. It's good for us. We need that. And it seems like as we age, we have a tendency to want to kind of isolate and pull back and, oh, well, I know she's probably busy. She probably doesn't want to talk to me. I'm sad. Get rid of that self-talk. Remember your self-care and your self-love. Get around women who love you, who want to honor you, that you can share your cares with, that you can share a laugh with. Another thing around the spirit, when you're talking about toxicity, is be careful of toxic people, toxic relationships. You might have to love them from afar. Their negativity doesn't have to be your negativity, but what we surround ourselves with, what we ponder about, what we think of all the time, truly does come to pass. So you want to make sure that you're feeding your spirit things that are positive.
Yes, I implore people to get involved in volunteering to feed their spirit.
Good idea, yes. Great idea.
Go and support someone who is less fortunate than yourself. You are giving to the least of these, and then you are learning and growing from them in the same process. What I have learned from going to Meals on Wheels and delivering food to the seniors, and then going into the homeless shelters and feeding people who don't have food to eat. I have seen the looks on their faces, the gratitude. I'm talking about seeing God right here on earth is interacting with the least of these. And so we have to do that more often. We have to actually fit it into our lifestyles. If you just want to choose one day a month and you say, this is what I'm going to do on that one day, I'm going to volunteer, I'm going to go to a hospital and maybe work with people who are sick and shut in. When you do those things, it just feeds you to your core. And it's definitely a spiritual connection that nothing can touch it when it comes down to comparison. So I definitely suggest that anyone that is feeling that their spirit is low and that their vibration is low, find a way to support and help someone else less fortunate.
I love that. I'm so glad you mentioned that because that is so true. It pulls you out of yourself. And there's always someone who is doing worse than you, believe it or not. Your down and out is not the end all or be all. There's always somebody doing better and there's always somebody doing worse. And it's not that you seek those things out so you can feel better about yourself, but there is something that can help usher in your gratitude, being grateful. And you mentioned that a little bit about journaling, but gratitude journaling is another way to enhance your spirit. When you journal, talking about the things that you are thankful for. I have a course I mean, you saw it, the 7 Steps to Abundant Living. And one of those things is all about gratitude journaling. And it talks about what to say and how to say it, and writing that letter in the morning to your CSO, your chief spiritual officer, thanking him in advance for those good things that have come to pass. And I can tell you, it works. It really does. When you first start doing some of these things, you'll be amazed at the breakthroughs that come just like that. But be careful, because many times you get instantaneous results, and then you may not get any for a little while. That doesn't mean that the universe isn't responding. It just means that, you know, you're slowly, some of that stuff that you've got clogged up and you've been there for a long time. It took us some time to get this way. It's going to take us some time to get well and to really put ourselves on our own agenda. So as you begin to incorporate some of the things that Versandra talked about, don't get frustrated if it doesn't seem to be working right away. It's working, it's working. It just takes a little time. Be patient with yourself, just like you were with your children when they were 2. Remember that? when you wanted to kill them, but you didn't. So, you know, don't get frustrated and give up and, you know, go back to the fries and burger. Give it a try. Make a commitment. In fact, I want to challenge all of you Wellness Woman viewers out there to start today, to add something to your life that's going to put yourself on the front burner in your self-care and self-love. The things that we suggested, or other things that you find out about. In fact, I want to make sure they know where to get your books, where to find about you and your services. Where do they go?
Well, you're going to go first to touchartist.pro, www.touchartist.pro. That is the best website. At least it's the easy website. You can go there. You can learn more about what I'm doing. You can tap into my blog. Make sure you sign up for my newsletter. I've got all kinds of goodies that I offer to my guests. And Lynnis, I just want to say thank you so much. I know we're coming close to the end of this period, but I want to thank you so much for all that you are doing in the world for women over 40 and beyond, because we need you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Versandra. You just don't know how much that means to me. Sometimes I wonder if anybody out there. And I know that they are. I've been doing this for 8 years, and it's been quite a journey. And I get that thing about homeless, honey, when you're trying to get this thing going. That didn't happen to me quite, but had some interesting times. And my husband would be like, okay, Lynnis, 4 years. Where's the money? But, you know, anything that is worth having is worth struggling for. And that comes to when you struggle for your identity, to love who you are as you are right now. Sometimes that's a tough thing to do, but it's necessary, because God don't make mistakes. Every single one of us has something wonderful and beautiful to give to the world, and don't let anybody else tell you different. And the first thing that you start with to being able to give up to the world is taking good care of you, so that you can continue that journey of giving to others and pursuing the passions, pursuing the reason why you're here in the first place. It's hard to come to that when you're feeling bad about yourself, when you're saying negative things about yourself, when you're surrounded by negative folks, when you're eating those French fries all the time when you know you shouldn't, when you're acting like you're a stick figure and not moving around, when you're not edifying your spirit, when you're not taking care of you, that temple that God blessed you with, or Allah, or whatever you call it, the tree, the universe, whatever. You were given something beautiful, and your one responsibility, your main responsibility, is to take care of it. You take care of it, it'll take care of you. And if you're being taken care of, then you can go out into the world and spread that love, that joy that's so necessary. Like you are, Versandra. Thank you for all that you are doing. And thank you so much for being on the Wellness Woman Show. It's been wonderful to have you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And thank you to all of you who are listening live, and those of you who might come and listen later on. Make sure you, if you didn't hear it, go back and get Versandra's information in terms of where you can find her, and we also will have it on the show page as well. If you want to find out more about me and the shows and programs and the academy that I have something called the Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond Holistic Wellness and Living Academy. Just Google Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond, and it'll come up. And there you can take classes. I'm developing classes every day. Some of them are free, some at a cost, that you can do to help you live a life that is full, well, joyful, and a sense of peace. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks, Versandra.
Thank you.